Hi, history friends. In 1942, the island of Britain was in deadly danger. 50 million people could not live or fight without food and supplies from the outside. And as the Nazi juggernaut stormed across Europe, these supplies started to dry up. It fell to the Royal Canadian Navy to transport supplies from Canada across the North Atlantic to their allies in Europe. This was not an easy task. German U-boats, or submarines, lurked in the dark waters of the Atlantic Ocean, particularly in a place called the Black Pit. Here you can see the dotted lines. This is where air cover could be provided by the Royal Air Force. However, once you cross that dotted line into the Black Pit, you were on your own. The German submarine crews termed the opening months of the Second World War the happy time because they sunk Allied ships so quickly and easily. The submarines blasted merchant ships from the United States and Canada as they steamed toward British ports laden with food, war supplies, materials, and soldiers. Winston Churchill later said, "The only thing that ever really frightened me during the war was the U-boat peril." Cargo vessels were being sunk at a rate of 20 a week, many of them leaving from the port of Halifax in Nova Scotia. The Royal Canadian Navy was a small force at the outbreak of the war, with 11 ships and 20,000 sailors. But by the war's end, Canada had the third largest navy in the world, with nearly 400 warships and 1,300 personnel, including 7,000 women. Canadians played an important role in escorting groups of supply ships across the Atlantic. And so how did they do this? Now, I don't have any model ships to work with, but thanks to my daughters, I do have Beanie and lots of Beanie. The way in which these convoys would get across the Atlantic safely was they would use the same kind of theory that grade 9s use on the first day of school. What do grade 9s do as they move around the hallways of Waterdown District High School on the first day of school? Well, they herd together. It's herd mentality. It's like watching Animal Kingdom, because they're thinking those big, scary grade 12s, well, they might get one or two of them, but they can't get everyone if they're all bunched together. That same idea is being done here. So what would happen is convoys made up of cargo ships, in this case Beanie Boos, would be surrounded by Canadian warships, and a new class of warship was developed called the Corvette. And the Corvette, I'll include a reading about a Corvette. They're easy to make, they were fast, they were not comfortable, and they were perfectly designed for the North Atlantic Oceans. Not so much for the sailors in them, they were very uncomfortable, but for protecting these convoys. And so you would surround, as you can see, there's certain Beanie Boos that have been designated as Corvettes to protect this convoy as it rushed across the Atlantic. And of course, what it was defending itself against was this, our U-boat, or in this case, a Nazi platypus. Now, the U-boats would actually travel together in wolf packs, so there would be groups of them, and they'd troll across the Black Pit, that area of the North Atlantic where there was no air cover. And when they would find a convoy, they would, like in Animal Kingdom, pick off the most defenseless. And for the longest period of time, this was a heyday for Nazi U-boats, the happy time as they used to call it. It wasn't until the development of sonar and more effective ways to hunt submarines that convoys became more and more successful. These convoys were the lifeblood between North America, here, and Canada and the United States, and the United Kingdom. Without those supplies, without that food, without the military supplies, and without the soldiers, there is no way that the Allies could have won the Second World War. And it's one of our most important contributions to the war effort. Have a good day, Waterdown. I hope this helps.